योऽन्ता प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तान् सञ्जीवयत किल शक्तिधरा स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणात् त्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं कथाञ्चना स्मृते यस्मिन् दुष्करं सुकरं भवेत् विस्मृते विपरीतं स्यात् श्रीचैतन्य नमामि तम्। Hare Krishna. Today we welcome all of you to our second session on Lord Narasimha Dev's pastimes. Yesterday evening we discussed this very important verse called Bhogena Punyam Kushalena Papam, where Lord Narasimha Dev is telling Prahlad to lead a life of balance with expertise. And we discussed the principle of how to expertly manage our lives in this material world. That was the instruction Lord Narasimha Dev gives. And we discussed different aspects and how to see the crisis that we go through in our lives. Like, for example, we discussed how Srila Prabhupada learned from his Guru Maharaj that the real emergency is Krishna consciousness. And situations change and some emergency situations, political developments happen, but Krishna consciousness remains steady. And we also discussed the need to balance physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual needs. Today, as we discussed earlier, we will dive into the pastime of Lord Narasimha Dev. And we'll start with the first chapter of the 7th canto. But before that, we'll go back to the 5th canto, 18th chapter, 8th verse, where the residents of Jambudvipa, especially from the land of Harivarsha, they are offering prayers led by Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Narasimha Dev. This is a prayer offered by Sri Prahlad. So we will chant this verse which we chanted yesterday also. Please repeat after me. This is a prayer which guarantees all protection to devotees who are sincerely aspiring to advance in their Krishna consciousness. It's an extremely potent prayer, and hopefully by tomorrow evening, every day we'll chant this 3 times. Yesterday we chanted this 3 times. Today we'll chant it once now. And after the end of the class, again we'll chant this prayer twice. So if we, hopefully by tomorrow evening, we'll memorize this verse also. Because every material world means full of problems, right? We all go through challenges, and Lord Narasimha Dev will protect his devotees. And we'll remember the Lord by chanting this mantra. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Tejase. Avir Bhava. Vajra Nakha. Vajra Damshtra. Karma Shayan. Randhya Tamo Grasa. Om Swaha. Abhayam. Atmani. Bhuishtha. Om Shraum. We'll chant once more. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Tejase. Avir Bhava. Vajra Nakha. Vajra Damshtra. Karma Shayan. Randhya Tamo Grasa. Om Swaha. Abhayam. Atmani. Bhuishtha. Om Shraum. Lord Narasimha Dev is one of the most popular aspects of or manifestations of the Supreme Lord. In ISKCON, we've seen that Narasimha Dev is very popular. And why the Lord is most popular? Because devotees approach the Lord when they have problems. And in material world, there are always problems. And also I've seen with children, Lord Narasimha Dev is more popular than all other aspects of the Lord. The first thing the children learn in Krishna consciousness is the Narasimha Arti. I don't know how it is in Manor, but in Mumbai, the first thing they learn, Narasimha Arti. Even when we are new, one of the things that initially attracts us to Hare Krishna movement is Prasadam, Kirtan, and Nursing Arti is one of the things we pick it up first. The melody, the power, the mantra, the energy of that mantra. So we all have initial attraction to Lord Narasimha. Let us make it deeper now by hearing about the Lord. And as we get older, Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we hear, the more we relish. We will come closer to the Lord. And after all, Hiranyakashipu, where is Hiranyakashipu living? Which planet? He is living in our hearts, right? Hiranyakashipu is, they don't look for, which planet, where, very far away, no. He's not in the neighboring country, he's here right in our heart. And therefore, the more we hear about Lord Narasimha Dev's pastimes, Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, we'll get the strength to confront Hiranyakashipu in our heart. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this pastime hundreds of times. He would hear and then he would tell Gadadhar Pandit, okay, now tell me again. Then again and again. He is Narasimha Dev himself, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he is hearing about his own pastimes. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, especially 7th canto, contains in great detail why the Lord appeared, how he appeared, what happened, and that's what we will discuss. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the shelter. It helps us connect with Krishna, it helps us connect with the Lord. And the more we read Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we will remember the Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended all devotees to read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Sanatana Goswami says a beautiful verse, you can please repeat after me. Madeka bandhu matsangin, madguru madmahadhana, madnistharaka madbhagya, madananda namostute. Madeka bandhu, my best friend, Sanatana Goswami says. Madeka bandhu, that is Bhagavatam. Mad Sangin, my best associate. Mad Guru, my guru is Bhagavatam. Mad Mahadhana, my greatest wealth is Srimad Bhagavatam. Mad Nistaraka, my deliverer from material world is Srimad Bhagavatam. Madananda, my greatest source of joy and happiness is Srimad Bhagavatam. Mad Bhagya, my greatest fortune. Namostute, I offer respectful obeisances to Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, our ability to understand, appreciate, develop emotions for Lord is through Srimad Bhagavatam, and rendering submissive oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam is what helps us connect with the Lord. I remember I used to always have this doubt, how can Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hear this pastime? Okay, we hear it once during Narsingh Chaturdashi. So there are 10 chapters, so we hear all the chapters, and I remember giving a class, but rest of the year then I'm busy with other things. But I'm wondering, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would hear from Gadadhar Pandit at Thota Gopinath temple in Jagannath Puri. He would hear Dhruv Maharaj pastime from the 4th canto, then Prahlad Maharaj, and after he finished, Mahaprabhu would say, okay, start again. I mean, we want to hear something new all the time. We wouldn't want to hear the same thing again. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would hear Prahlad and Dhruva pastime again and again and again. It doesn't make sense. I mean, okay, we like the pastime, but we'll hear other things from the Bhagavatam. What is so special? I had this doubt, and then I heard an amazing analogy given by one of Srila Prabhupada's illustrious, famous godbrothers, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. So he gave a very example that we can all relate to. He said, imagine there is a lover who's gone through a heartbreak. His beloved has ditched him, so he's like lamenting. He's in great distress. And he meets his best friend who tells him, come on, don't worry, I'll take care of you. And he takes him to a liquor bar. And there he serves him drinks. So for this heartbroken Majnu, he is drinking liquor and he's crying and he's remembering his beloved. And then he's saying, give me more, because he's feeling the pain of heartbreak. But then his friend gives him more sharab and he drinks and he cries and says, "Give me more." Keeps drinking and his friend keeps giving him drinks. He keeps drinking, saying, "Give me more." And then he feels so grateful. He starts crying and then he embraces his friend and he says, "You are my real friend. You are giving me this nectar, this liquor, and I'm able to forget my sorrows." So Bhakti Rakshashidhar Maharaj says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like that lover who is feeling intense separation from his beloved, the Supreme Lord, and is feeling intense separation from the Lord. And Gadadhar Pandit is like that best friend who is giving him the spiritual intoxication of Srimad Bhagavatam. He's pouring Srimad Bhagavatam and Mahaprabhu is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam like a drunkard is taking liquor. And the more Mahaprabhu is hearing Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj pastime, Guru Maharaj pastime, his feelings of separation from Krishna is getting mitigated. He's feeling relieved, but he's getting more and more addicted and more attached to drinking that nectar of Bhagavatam. And he says, "Give me more, give me more." And then after drinking so much, what did Mahaprabhu would do always? He would embrace Gadadhar Pandit and say, "Gadadhar Pandit, you are my best friend. You are giving me the nectar that is removing the pain of separation from the Lord." So like this, Bhakti Rakshashidhar Maharaj gave an example that we all can, Kali Yuga people can understand. So, of course, this is a very perverted example, but just to give us an idea of what intensity Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing, the separation from the Lord. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we hear attentively, we will be able to appreciate that the Bhagavatam actually gives us entrance and access to experiencing this love of the Lord. So there are 650 pages of 10 chapters in the 7th canto. And for many of us, this may not be nectarine like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experienced. For us, this could be medicine. But whatever it is, we need to take shelter. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Regularly, consistently, we need to study. So we'll begin right away with the first chapter of 7th canto. So Srila Prabhupada emphasized, please remember that devotees in ISKCON, we should pray to Lord Narasimha Dev regularly for removing the obstacles in the path of our devotional service. One of the first instances is in Los Angeles, devotees were going to, from Los Angeles, they were going to San Francisco for Rath Yatra. And early morning, as devotees were getting ready to leave for the Rath Yatra, there is an explosion in the temple hall. Some people had thrown pipe bombs inside and the windows broke, the doors were damaged, and there was chaos in the temple hall. And there was panic. And then everything was sorted. And Srila Prabhupada gave class that day morning in the temple before devotees left for Rath Yatra. And he chanted this famous prayer which we all chant. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shrungam. And he made devotees memorize this verse. And he said, ISKCON is growing. The demons will attack and we have to take shelter of Narasimha Dev. And that's when we encourage devotees to memorize this verse. Also earlier, before Los Angeles, when he was in New York, one day he had heart palpitations. And Srila Prabhupada was admitted in the hospital. And that time he had told devotees to pray to Narasimha Dev. What is the prayer he asked devotees to offer? That please protect our spiritual master because he has not yet finished his work. So Lord Narasimha Dev is our friend, Narasimha Dev is our shelter, and we need to approach him in this mood, and to hear about him will give us confidence, strength to pray. And how does this pastime begin? The pastime begins with Parikshit Maharaj asking questions to Shukdev Goswami that, my dear Shukdev Goswami, why is the Supreme Lord partial? The Lord should be impartial by nature. Parikshit Maharaj is echoing our feelings. So he is saying, why does Lord always favor the demigods? Why is he always on the side of the Devtas? And Shukdev Goswami says, no. Lord is not partial. We are influenced by the three modes of material nature. It is because of our fault we imagine that the Lord is biased. He answers like that. Then Parikshit Maharaj says, I have a second question. How can Lord help his enemies so much? Like Shishupal. Now this is the opposite question. Initially he says, why is the Lord partial? Now he's saying, why is the Lord so impartial? That Shishupal, he is so envious of the Lord and still he gets salvation. How can the Lord be so merciful? So now Shukdev Goswami says, my dear Parikshit Maharaj, the same question was asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj to Narad Muni. And Narad Muni explained the power of remembering Krishna. And that time Narad Muni told Yudhishthir Maharaj that even enemies who remember Krishna get liberation. Even if you are inimical towards Krishna, but if you remember him, you get so much benefit. This is not to encourage us to become enemies of Krishna. This is just to tell us that if we approach Krishna with an inimical attitude, still we get so much. Imagine what we would get if we were favorable. Like if somebody says, you join our famous academic institution, and even if you flunk, you will get a 7-figure salary, you will get such a big paycheck, you will get this, you will get so many benefits. So you wouldn't think, okay, let me join this institute and fail. You would ask, oh, if I fail, I get so much. If I pass, if I clear the exams, what will I get? So like that. The point is, Narad Muni is telling Yudhishthir Maharaj that the Lord is absolute. Absolute means even if you approach him with envy, you get benefit. Because Lord is completely absolute, pure. Once one man asked Srila Prabhupada, oh, this is your God? He pointed to the deities. He is holding his flute. Is he your God? Srila Prabhupada said, no, he is your God also. So that's why Narad Muni is saying, Supreme Lord is so kind. And he tells Yudhishthir Maharaj that Lord was not doing something extra for Shishupal because Shishupal is after all Jai and Vijay. They have come as Dantavakra, Shishupal, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. And as Hiranyakashipu, he tortured his own son. So he's telling all these pastimes. So Yudhishthir Maharaj stops him. He says, what? He tortured his own son? How can a father do this? So then Narad Muni tells him, oh, I have to tell you the whole story. And then he tells him, Hiranyaksha, the older brother of Hiranyakashipu, was killed. By who? Varahadev. And Hiranyakashipu got angry and he wanted to take revenge. But before taking revenge against Lord Vishnu, who killed his brother, he had to first console his sister-in-law and his mother, who were affected because his brother Hiranyaksha was killed. And while consoling them, Hiranyakashipu tells them stories and philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. You are not the body, you are the soul. Don't lament. And he gives the example of Kulinga bird. Actually, he says how he gives the story of Yamaraj coming to instruct the queens in the guise of a small boy, and he tells them the story. Look at this. Bhagavatam is spoken by Sutta Goswami to Fejafet Naimisharanya. He tells them the conversation of, Sutta Goswami is telling sages. A conversation of Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. And Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj a conversation of Narad Muni telling Yudhishthir Maharaj. And Narad Muni is telling Yudhishthir Maharaj what Hiranyakashipu is telling his mother and sister-in-law. And Hiranyakashipu is telling his mother and sister-in-law what Yamaraj is telling the queens. So you see how many layers of conversation going on. So as you hear this analogy, you should know there are 5 layers behind, flashback, you can go back. So for this, there was a Kulinga bird who was killed by the hunter, and the female started crying and wailing loudly, and the hunter killed her also. So Hiranyakashipu says, you don't cry and lament so much because time will finish you also. You focus on connecting to yourself, connecting to the Absolute. It's amazing. He speaks about soul, how we are all travelers who come to a common place, we drink water, we take refreshment, then we go on our own ways. Similarly, what is this family, what is the relative, this is all temporary. Amazing. He has all this Bhagavad Gita knowledge. And after all this, what does he do? He goes to perform tapasya so that he can kill Lord Vishnu. See, you can see there's a fundamental flaw in his character. He's speaking Bhagavad Gita philosophy, but have you ever heard any devotee in Bhagavatam class say, like we generally say what? So as Bhagavad Gita says, we are not the body, we are the soul. Or we say, as Prahlad Maharaj says in the Bhagavatam, we quote some verse. Or we also say sometimes that Gajendra explains this in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam. Or Dhruv Maharaj prays in the 4th canto, and we quote one verse. But have you ever heard any speaker say, and as Hiranyakashipu says, we are not the body, we are the soul. It's the same knowledge, but we will never quote Hiranyakashipu. Because there is a fundamental flaw in his character. We don't quote him because it is not simply, we don't say Hiranyakashipu said time is very powerful. We'll say Vidura said time is powerful. Because there has to be congruency between what we say and what we do. We have to be exemplary. We can't just, see, Bhagavatam and preaching is not simply about knowing the stuff and speaking. It's not like a college professor, he teaches you some subject, economics, finance. So similarly, some speaker will sit on the seat and he will speak Bhagavatam. No, it's not like that. We have to have congruency. Inside, outside has to be same. We need to aspire to live by spiritual standards. Therefore, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would be very upset when devotees would cheat to solicit donations or funds. And he would be very upset. He would go on a fast. Once he came to know that devotee had lied to take donations, he was very upset. So we have to have excellent character, and then we can speak Bhagavad. Or at least even if we don't have highest standard, at least we should aspire for the highest standard. So Hiranyakashipu's example exposes the problem of duplicity. He was aspiring to kill Lord Vishnu, and therefore we don't quote Hiranyakashipu, although he is speaking the same spiritual knowledge. So Srimad Bhagavatam, like this we will find many instructions. Even the demons knew what is the right thing. Srimad Bhagavatam is so merciful that it reveals to us what is our problem, even through somebody like Hiranyakashipu. And Srimad Bhagavatam also gives us the medicine by which we can clean our hearts. Srimad Bhagavatam is a unique book. It is like an X-ray machine also, which reveals to us what is the problem. And it also acts as a medicine that cures the defect in our heart. Srimad Bhagavatam will never flatter any reader or hearer. Srimad Bhagavatam will expose. It's like a mirror. When you see a clean mirror, you can see yourself. Similarly, if we consistently study Srimad Bhagavatam, we will come face to face with our own inadequacies. So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is our real friend. Srimad Bhagavatam is also extremely powerful because it helps us balance courage and consideration. We will learn to get the strength to face our anarthas, but while Srimad Bhagavatam castigates us for being envious, lusty, having anarthas, Srimad Bhagavatam, by revealing Krishna's beautiful qualities, also makes us feel loved, also fills our heart with the sense of belongingness to Krishna. Therefore, let us not underestimate the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. After instructing his sister-in-law and mother, Hiranyakashipu goes to the Mandara mountain and performs intense austerities, intense tapasya. And what kind of austerities he performs? He stands on one foot and fire. He controls all the elements of the nature and fire comes out of his head. And like he kind of burns up the whole universe with his intense control of all the elements. The animals and humans, they all get scattered. There is panic on planets, on the universe. They all run to Brahma. Brahmaji appears before Hiranyakashipu and tells him, stop these intense penances. Ask for a benediction. And Hiranyakashipu thinks he's very intelligent. And he asks for an amazing benediction. He says, let me never die. Brahmaji says, that's not possible. But then he says, okay, give me a benediction that let me not be killed by any living entity which is made by you. Basically, I can't die. Let me never die inside the house or outside the house. Let me never die in the sky nor the earth. Let me not be killed by a human being or an animal. Let me not be killed by any weapon or any object that is living or dead. So he is basically trying all permutations and combinations. I don't want to be killed in the daytime or at the night time. See, all the combinations we try by which we don't die. And then he says, give me 8 mystic perfections, lighter than the light, invisible, and all of those things. And what does Brahmaji say? Tathastu, so be it. Brahmaji is fully confident that you can try what you want to avoid death. But material energy is extremely powerful and invincible. It's amazing how Hiranyakashipu is so foolish that he doesn't realize that his plan to not die won't be successful. He doesn't realize that his elder brother also died. And how did Hiranyaksha die? How did Lord Varadev kill him? Did Lord Varadev have to do a very big endeavor to kill Hiranyaksha? A tiny slap behind his left ear. You can read for details the 17th and 18th chapter of which canto? 3rd canto. So, this is amazing how Hiranyaksha was killed, but still Hiranyakashipu thinks, no, I will circumvent death. So he's so foolish. So material energy is extremely powerful. For us, we don't need Lord Narasimha to appear. For us, the Lord sends some small virus and small things. But we think I can avoid death. There was a very, very famous incident that happened some years ago. There was a very famous professor at MIT, the famous MIT, Boston. The professor's name was Dr. Gerald Sussman. So there was a packed auditorium and he made this famous statement that, ladies and gentlemen, we are very happy to announce that we are the last generation to die. Because science and technology is making so much advancement that very soon we will conquer death. And everyone was like, wow. Hari bol, Hari bol. They were all very... But devotees are impressed when they hear this? No, because they know the same statement was made by Mr. Hiranyakashipu also. Many, many years ago. They're not impressed by these kind of statements. Because Mr. Death will get us all. You may be the wealthiest man on the planet and you may have bribed everyone. You can't bribe Mr. Death when he comes to you. You may be the most beautiful woman on planet and you can entice anyone and seduce anyone. But when Mr. Death comes, you can't say, I will seduce Mr. Death. You may be the strongest man who can wrestle with anyone. But you can't wrestle Mr. Death. You can't say, I'm the most intelligent man. I can debate with anyone and defeat anyone and everyone in debate. But can you debate death? No. You may be the fastest athlete. You can't outrun death. So, the most beautiful woman, most strongest man, most intelligent man, nobody can outsmart death. Hiranyakashipu is a victim of his own ego and desire to be the Lord. So therefore, you may be the wealthiest person taken care of in the most expensive hospital on planet Earth, treated by the best doctors, but still when Mr. Death has to come, he will appear at your doorstep. Nothing we can do. So therefore, Hiranyakashipu doesn't realize this and Bhagavatam is teaching us this. And Hiranyakashipu later, he meets his, and we all know the end before we begin the story. But at this point of time, by the benedictions Hiranyakashipu gets, he starts terrorizing the universe. He is extremely confident about his strength. He drives out all the devatas from their planets, except Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, Everyone becomes personal servants of Hiranyakashipu. He gets things that others cannot get. Even off season, he can get things at any time he wants. Like if it's extremely cold and there's no way you can get mangoes. And he would just snap his fingers and fresh mangoes would appear in his hand. So all the things that the earth needed to yield, he changed all laws and got what he wanted when he wanted. So naturally, if you had that power, imagine you could get what you want when you want. You would think I'd be happy. Isn't it? But the 7th canto reveals Hiranyakashipu's internal state of affairs at this point of time when he would get anything he wanted. You know what was his condition? Saitam nirjita kakubha ekrad vishayan priyan atapi josha bunjano natripyat ajitendriya. He was the one Lord of the entire universe. Ekrad vishayan priyan. He could enjoy as much as he wanted. Atapi josha bunjano. He could enjoy with all his senses. But what was his condition? The last line is extremely powerful. Natripyat ajitendriya. He was not satisfied. Right now, I'm thinking I'm not satisfied because I don't have all these objects of enjoyment. And here is a person who could get what he wanted, when he wanted, and still he was not happy. Isn't this amazing? Still we don't learn our lessons. We think, no. If you tell, everybody knows money can't give happiness. You ask anyone, do you believe money will give happiness? No, I know money can't give happiness. But still everyone feels, let me get money. And let me realize after I get money that money doesn't give happiness. Because somewhere there is a feeling that I'll be an exception. It's amazing how Hiranyakashipu realized this. Millions of years ago, he's not happy despite getting everything he wants. And 2025, just last month before coming to UK, I read an interview of one of the most famous Bollywood superstars. I'm sure all of you have heard the name of Shah Rukh Khan. I'm dropping a name here, I'm sorry, but I actually congratulate him because he's so honest and candid that he had the humility to say this in front of media. He says, I don't get sleep at night. I feel lonely. I'm suffering from loneliness, insecurity. I can't sleep at night. I know people who would die to be in his position. Wow, if only I had the fame and money that he has. I know somebody in Mayapur, Dham, one auto rickshaw driver I made friends with. This boy spent all his life savings, meager savings, to somehow come to Mumbai to get darshan of Shah Rukh Khan for 1 minute. And he stood outside his big house, bungalow, waiting for him to come on the balcony and wave his hand in the evening. He would come outside in 5 minutes and he would wave at his bhaktas. And this man had traveled all the way from Kolkata. And that time this Mr. Khan was not there. He had gone out for his shooting somewhere and he was waiting. He waited for 2-3 weeks every day. And finally one day, Mr. Khan comes, waves at him and he's like, all my desires fulfilled. But the person is worshipping. He can't get sleep at night. He's lonely. Isn't this amazing? And I know in South Bombay, our temple is in South Bombay. There are these people who have very, very lavish weddings. Some of them, it's vulgar. When it's ostentatious display of wealth, it's like, they call Mr. Shah Rukh Khan for their dance performance in the marriage ceremony. And for a 15-minute dance in the wedding, he charges 5 crore rupees. That's how many pounds? I don't know. 500,000 pounds is 5 crore rupees. Wow, 500,000 pounds for a 15-minute dance. And one South Bombay family was very upset because he danced only for 10 minutes because he said, I have a backache. So he didn't dance the whole entire 15 minutes and he took away 500,000 pounds. So why I'm telling to cut the long story short, so we have nothing and we are lamenting. And there are people who have everything, but Shukdev Goswami has declared, Saitam nirjita kaku bayekarat vishayan priyan atapi josha bunjano na tripyat ajitendra. If we don't learn to control our senses and connect with the Lord, we won't be happy, irrespective of how much wealth we possess. And Hiranyakashipu is a classic example. I would like to draw your attention to the point that Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. I'll not read the entire purport, but these are some extremely powerful statements. I cannot rephrase it. I thought you should hear as it is. Srila Prabhupada says, atheists can advance materially and create an extremely comfortable situation for the senses. But because they are controlled by the senses, they cannot be satisfied. Did you hear this? Because we are controlled by the senses, we cannot be satisfied. This is the effect of modern civilization. Materialists are very much advanced in enjoying money and opposite sex, yet dissatisfaction prevails within human society because human society cannot be happy and peaceful without Krishna consciousness. So it's a long purport, but this is the essence. In fact, Srila Prabhupada in one purport says, who is a demon? What do you think? When you hear the word demon, what do you think? You think somebody with some horns coming out, huge. You think of what, Voldemort. You think of all your fancy idea of a demon. But interesting Prabhupada's definition of a demon. He says, demon is one who works very hard without benefiting himself. So you know somebody who works very hard without any benefit to himself. That is a demon. His Holiness Devamrit Swami Maharaj was once telling us that when he was a young boy growing up in US in the early 1950s, his school teachers would tell the students, all of you are now going to enter the next millennium. Very soon, another 50 years, you'll all be young men, you'll all be old by that time, and it's going to be a new era where people will have a lot of free time and there'll be a lot of leisure time because all science, technology advancement has been done. There will be a lot of time-saving devices. Everything will be so easy and there will be complete leisure and relaxation. And so the Devamrit Maharaj is saying that this is what I heard when I was a young boy, but I don't see anybody relaxing now. Everybody is running. So he says, so therefore the master of this planet, this material world is Maya Devi. She's making everybody work hard because our senses are not controlled. I want more. Ye dil mange more. There are advertisements in India, dil mange more. I want more. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita very, very aptly says that when we disregard these instructions of the scriptures, we'll never be happy. Ya shastra vidim usrijya vartate kama karanat na siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Na sukham na param gatim. We won't get happiness, we won't get highest destination if we disregard these injunctions of the scriptures. Today we have controlled material nature. In summer we can get comforts of the winter. In winter we can get the luxuries of the summer. In Mumbai there is a very, very wealthy man near our temple who has an intelligent building. Like we have smartphones, he has a smart building. So many luxuries and we here and it costs thousands and thousands and crores of rupees. So we have lot of luxuries modern times. But we are suffering with basic necessities. So Hiranyakashipu thought he would be happy, but he is in always anxiety. This is a classic case, 7th canto, 2nd chapter. Please read this for 4 more details. Hiranyakashipu's misery. This reminds me of a famous story I had heard when I was in school. No, I heard it from Bhaktivigyan Goswami Maharaj about a Bangladesh folk tale about one very wealthy man. He had a servant in his house who was so poor that he had never slept on a bed. He always slept on the floor in a small hut in a poor colony. But he would work for this wealthy man. And one day the wealthy man said, I'm going out for some important work. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Please manage the house till I come. So the servant was cleaning the house and he saw there's nobody at home. And he saw this beautiful, soft, cushioned bed of his master. And he always had this desire to experience what it is to sleep on a soft bed. And because the master was not there, he just felt that, wow, it's so nice. So if let me lie down on it for some time. And he lay down. And because it was the first experience, he was so comfortable, he closed his eyes and he fell asleep. And then sometime the master returned and he saw, to his great shock, his servant had the audacity to sleep on his bed. He said, how dare you uncouth scoundrel, how can you do this? He took out his belt and he started lashing at him, hitting him, and this servant started screaming, no, no, please. He said, you rascal, how dare you sleep on my bed? What do you think you are? And initially the servant was screaming in pain, oh no. And then suddenly the servant had an epiphany. He started laughing. Oh, ha, 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 loudly, uncontrollable laughter. And the master was shocked. He said, what happened to him? I was beating him. He should be screaming in pain. He should be wailing in agony. Why is he laughing? So the master kept the belt aside. He said, you uncouth, low-class fellow, why are you laughing? Tell me. He grabbed his neck. Tell me, why do you laugh? He said, no, I can't believe what I'm going through. Master said, what are you going through? He said, no, I'm just amazed that I just lay on this bed for 15 minutes and I went through so much suffering. And you are sleeping on this bed every night. How much suffering you must be going through. I'm just amazed. So that's how life is. So today we have all luxuries, but we are thinking, oh, I'm not happy. Because luxuries have become necessities. See, things change. If you come to Mumbai, we have this very famous 5-star hotel in Mumbai called Taj Mahal Hotel, where the terrorists had attacked 16 years ago. So in Taj Mahal Hotel, there is an advertisement I saw. We have these throwbacks in Times of India. They show the photographs, advertisements of 150 years ago. So there was an advertisement for Taj Mahal Hotel of the year 1910, 100 years ago. How would Taj Mahal Hotel advertise itself, encouraging people to come and stay in their hotel? You know what is the advertisement? So there is a lady who is smiling like this. She's saying, and the caption above says, come and stay in Taj Mahal Hotel. And above this lady, there is a big fan with 4 blades. And the caption below says, stay in Taj Mahal Hotel and enjoy the fan. The experience of a fan. But the fan would move and you could stay in the hotel and feel, wow, it's so nice. And I was like, really? This is an ad? Imagine, now we have air-conditioned hotels and still that's not considered as a luxury. Even that is like a basic necessity. Wow. See how times have changed? So this is how it is. We have gone so far away. But I still know people who are stuck to the basics, Vedic Dharma, culture, without the luxuries and still are happy. Like very close to Chowpatty temple, we have another ISKCON temple at Ravet, ISKCON Ravet. And we have a small temple there. And devotees, they are not from highly engineering background. They're not English educated. They're not gone to modern colleges. They're from simple Indian villages, Marathi speaking. These guys came together, used their brains, prayed to Krishna. They're street smart, but devotional heart. They learned. And generally when you have a budget for making a temple, let's say you have a budget of 5 crores and you have a target of completing this project in 5 years, you'll end up completing it in 10 years and your budget shoots to 10 crores. But these guys, they had a budget of 5 crores, they did it in 2 crores. And instead of 5 years, they did it in 3 years. I was like, how did you do it? Generally, you can't get all 3. You can't get a project completed before time, also lower cost, and also high quality. You can get only 2 of the 3. You'll have to compromise one of the 3. Quality, cost, and speed. You can't get all three. But these guys managed to get all three. Quality, cost and speed. And they're not IIT engineers or super brilliant. They're not going to any modern colleges. They are lovers of Krishna and they want to please Krishna, Prabhupada. And the temple is astounding, beautiful, without a fan. I remembered this because, I was talking about the luxury of a fan. And I've gone to this temple even during summer seasons. In the month of May, it's so hot and the temple hall doesn't need a fan. You always feel you're in an AC room. Because that's how they have designed the ventilation, and the structure of the temple is such that it's always breezy and it's always comfortable. But now because of real estate builders, cheaters who come and put up buildings completely covering the temple complex, so artificial structures have come up. So now they have to put one fan because that's what the modern man does. So then they had to also adapt. Otherwise, till last year, there was no fan in the temple. And I never felt a need for it when I visit there. And how they're so smart. In the month of Magha, there is a week, which is a special week where lots of people come for Mangalarti. There are no lights in the temple hall. It's all traditional diyas. And you feel you've been transported on a time machine and you've gone back 500 years in time. And the temple hall, and then you enter that, and during Shringar Darshan at 7 a.m., you know how the temple Shringar Darshan happens? Like here the chandeliers are lit. But there during the month of Magh, the Shringar Darshan, all lights are off. And when Govindam, the darshan opens, that precisely at that moment, the sunrise is in such a position, the sun has risen at such a spot that to that glass window, the light falls directly at the lotus feet of Radha Govinda. And by the time Govindam Adi Purusham ends, the sunlight comes up, the light falls on Radha Govinda's face. When the last Govindam ends, it's on Radha Govinda's face. But look at the planning, look at the intelligence. His Holiness Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj had come there once. I was there during that time. And we were showing Maharaj the whole temple area. And Maharaj was so happy. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj in the end, we went to the DT room where all the outfits are kept. And the backup room, the jewelry. He was like, wow, who is the brain behind all of this? And my very close friend, Radha Prasad Prabhu, he is like the what you call, or CEO, engineer, whatever. And he's never gone to any of these fancy colleges. He doesn't even speak English. He's a very sweet brahmachari, and he's my very dear friend. We joined the ashram together, but he joined Nigidi, that place, because he's from that background, that village. But we've been in touch always. And Maharaj is saying, who is the brain behind all of this? Maharaj was so happy. So then I spontaneously said, Radha Prasad Prabhu Maharaj. Where is he? Where is he? And everybody, he's like shy. He doesn't want to come in the front. He's somewhere back. And then I pulled him. Maharaj said, wow, amazing Prabhu. So are you from IIT? IIT is a very reputed engineering college in India. So are you a civil engineer from IIT? He said, no, Maharaj. He's ITI. ITI is Industrial Training Institute, where you learn plumbing, carpentry and all of those things. So he learned basic skills, but he worked hard and he's happy serving. And these brahmacharis there, they are from simple village. And the kind of people they are preaching to is shocking. Like recently I had gone for the brahmachari retreat, and one young boy comes to me. He says, thank you Prabhuji, you came. I said, I don't know you. He said, yeah, the brahmacharis are my gurus. They're all my shiksha gurus. I take guidance from them. But then one brahmachari comes. This brahmachari who came to me is introducing me to this boy. He says, this boy is 17 years old. He comes daily to temple. He chants 4 rounds and then he goes to college. Then he goes home. I said, very good boy. What is your name? He's told me his name. Vaishnav Shailesh Kakade. Marathi boy. What do you do? He said, yeah, I'm studying. What do you like? I said, I like physics. Oh, physics. And then I'm looking at these brahmacharis. None of them, some of them don't even know the spelling of physics. They've not been to college. I said, oh, you like physics? He says, yeah, I love physics. What do you know about physics? So you will do engineering now? He said, no, I won't do engineering. I'll just do research. Research? How old are you? He said, I'm 17. Why you won't study engineering? Because you're good in physics and mathematics, you should study engineering. No, it's all useless, Prabhuji, engineering. I already have 2 PhDs. I said, what? two PhDs? this? Coming in, he said, Prabhu, I'm feeling very shy, but I'll confess to you. Actually, most of the brahmacharis didn't know this. He's telling me, Prabhu, I am India's youngest physics PhD. And I'm the youngest, not only the youngest Indian to get a PhD, I'm the youngest Indian to get double PhD. And he's 17 years old. I said, really? And then I said, I don't believe you. I mean, I know, I said it in rhetoric. I mean, I know you are not lying, but I can't believe this. And then one brahmachari knew this. He said, I called him, you know what he's telling me? But Prabhuji, ye kuch PhD kiya hai. I said, really? You know what is PhD? He said, yeah, it's a big thing, right? I said, yeah. And youngest boy, bahut acha, intelligent ladka, intelligent. And then I come to know not only this boy, and then this boy takes out a book. See, I fancy myself as a writer. I write books, and I've written 6 books in last 10 years, and I think I've done a great job. And this 17-year-old boy takes out 2 thick novels which he has written. And both are science. One is science fiction novel. One is a pure devotional service novel. Radha and Krishna's love story. I mean, what contrast. And that science fiction novel is on Einstein's theory of relativity. I'm like, novel, full-fledged science fiction novel. I said, when did you start writing this? When I was 11, I started, Prabhuji. And I saw the English. I saw the writing style. I was so humbled. I said, you should, the world should know you. He said, Prabhu, I have represented India in the world astronomical and astrophysics contest, and I won the gold medal. And then he showed me all the things he has. 65 world medals. He is a world gold medalist, youngest champion in all these competitions, astrophysics competitions. I said, and one by one is revealing, and how Modi, India's Prime Minister, is going to meet him, and he's the youngest recipient. You know, in India they give a award called Padma Shri. It's considered as India's highest civilian medal. Like, I don't know what you have in London equivalent. It's like, yeah. It's like Padma Shri is like, you are like, wow. And he is India's youngest Padma Shri medal winner. Like, and I'm like, wow, all of this. And these brahmacharis are sitting with him, taking prasad, hitting him on the head. They don't sleep in japa. He's like, yes, Prabhuji. Purity is the force. I don't know where I went off. I'm just trying to say, to be happy and effective, you don't need all money, you don't need education, you don't need all the big things. To make that point, I'm telling you this story. There's so much I can speak about this small, sweet brahmachari ashram in ISKCON, Ravet. No fancy, no glory, no glamour. And Hiranyakashipu has everything, but he's hollow. Nothing. But Hiranyakashipu, instead of understanding that he is not happy, he needs to take shelter of Krishna, what does he do? He goes on a rampage. He starts terrorizing the Devtas. And Devtas run to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu says, don't worry. When he persecutes his own son Prahlad, who is going to be my best devotee, I will kill him despite all his benedictions. And that's where Srila Prabhupada writes, offenses to devotees are extremely dangerous. Don't ever offend a devotee. And you know what happened to those who offended Srila Prabhupada? Those who offended Krishna's pure devotees. Lord doesn't care for any earthly laws, your designations, your power, your position. This famous or infamous demon in Bombay who troubled Srila Prabhupada. Do you know his name? Mr. N. I was asking Mother Vishaka 2 days back, Mataji, you've taken so many photographs of Prabhupada and so many, but I've not seen a single photograph of Mr. N. He's really an enigma. She said, no, I couldn't take any of his photographs because he was rarely coming, but he would meet Prabhupada a few times. So this man was extremely nasty. It's a long story for some other day, how he tried to cheat devotees. You can read the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. And on the last day, he actually heard abuses, swear words at Srila Prabhupada. It was very insulting. And Srila Prabhupada just stood there and he said things like, I will break the temple, you're all CIA agents, you're a nuisance. And he, after hurling extremely vicious, abusive words, he left the room. And that night he got a heart attack. And he was admitted in the hospital. And a few days later he died. But he was not the only demon who attacked Srila Prabhupada. he had 3 other extremely vicious assistants who were destroying ISKCON in Bombay. His Holiness Srila Giriraj Maharaj explains about all of them who troubled Srila Prabhupada. There was one Mr. Matre who was a trustee of many schools in Bombay. And you know what he would do? He would make a pamphlet and he would ascribe scandalous behavior to ISKCON devotees and distribute these pamphlets at Mumbai's railway stations, saying that ISKCON is a dangerous cult. And Srila Prabhupada was told that he is, doing all these nasty things. Prabhupada said, Krishna will take care. Because there's nothing you can do when somebody is doing this kind of damage. You know how Krishna took care of him? Because of his offenses. One day in Bombay, there was a shocking news in all the newspaper carried the headlines. Mr. Matre implicated in a great scandal with one of his teachers from one of his schools. All the newspapers carried this, and the same Matre who was trying to malign Srila Prabhupada by all those pamphlets, there were public demonstrations against him and his big placards with the garland of slippers everywhere, and he couldn't show his face to the society for the rest of his life. He tried to slander devotees, innocent devotees. Mr. N also had another demon associate. His name was Mr. Tembe. He was a MLA. MLA is like a MP here. Member of Legislative Assembly. He was a very vicious man. He tried to get all the life members together and he said, these life members, we should take over the property of ISKCON Juhu. And then he was doing a lot of politics. And on one particular morning, there was a very important meeting where he had convinced all the life members to come together and he was about to dismantle devotees from the property. You know what happened that day? How Krishna took care of this demon? This is an amazing way. Mr. Rane gets up in the morning to go for the meeting and shockingly, he's just not able to get up from the bed. He's like, what's happened? And then he realizes he's paralyzed from waist below. And for the rest of his life, he just couldn't get up from the bed. Krishna finished him off like that. And there was a third demon associate of Mr. Nair. Mr. N. Sorry, we're not supposed to say. He's not to be named. You know who. Now that I've told his name. Mr. N, he had a third associate. His name was Mr. Rane. He was a black magician. He was a tantric, voodoo magic magician. So he would, so I don't know if you know this story. There are many demons who attacked, and when Prabhupada was not in Mumbai, even after Mr. N died, his wife, Mrs. N, she was extremely vicious. She was like Hiranyakashipu's female role. You know what she did? She called up the municipality and convinced them that there's an illegal temple, and the municipality came to break the temple in front of devotees. And Vraja Bihari was installed. And it is an amazing story, what happened. And the deities were protected by 2 Matajis. Gandiva Mataji and her mother, Maithili Mataji. The police actually dragged these 2 women by the hair and threw them out because they were desperate to protect Vraja Bihari. And all these municipal workers were breaking the temple top. The deities were about to be attacked. It was such a precarious situation. And as Gandiva Mataji was being pulled away and she was begging, pleading. Maithili Mataji was being dragged. The daughter was being dragged. Mr. Rane, along with the others, Matre and others, Mr. Rane was laughing. He had this sadistic smile, it serves you well, that kind of. And that moment, Maithili Mataji pronounced a curse. She said, you are laughing at devotees who are trying to protect Krishna. The fire of your offense will burn you. She just, out of pain that devotees are being attacked, and you are enjoying that pain of devotees suffering. Anyway, so this happened, and then devotees called up, and it's a long story. There was a very famous politician that time in Bombay called Bal Thackeray. So somehow he got the news that a Hindu temple is being attacked, and he called the municipal commissioner. And just at the last moment, the temple was, it's like a movie, straight out of a thriller movie. And then finally, then the court, they approached the court, and before the court announced, the devotees made a temporary temple. It's a long story. Somehow the temple was saved, and Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna has protected us. And he thanked the devotees. And things were going on normal. One day during Mangalarti, we are chanting Mangalarti, it's very peaceful, quiet. And suddenly devotees heard screaming sounds. Like devotees were chanting, Samsara Dava. Somebody is screaming loud. Devotees, they stopped the Mangalarti, they ran outside the temple hall, and to their horror, what do they see? They see Mr. Rane is right outside the temple hall during Mangalarti. He's in flames. What happened? Mr. Rane had a house just in front of ISKCON temple, and he would take Prabhupada's doll, small doll he had made, and he would pierce it with some needles. So the whole idea is that, you do something and then that will affect the health of the person whom you're... There's some black magic tantric ritual he was doing. But it is said in the scriptures that if you try all these things with the pure devotee of Krishna, it boomerangs. You can't do that with the pure devotee. So he didn't know he was playing with fire. So he was doing that with Prabhupada. So when he did that with Prabhupada, it boomeranged. How it boomeranged? His intelligence just freaked out. He went to the kitchen, took up kerosene, fuel, and put it on himself. And then he took a match. And then at that moment he realized what he was doing. But it was too late. And by the time he realized, I should be doing this, he was on fire. And he came running out to seek help. And he was charred to death right in front of devotees. And then devotees looked at that Maitri Mataji, who had said what? The fire of your offenses will burn you. So you can't offend devotees. So Lord Vishnu is telling Devatas, when he offends his own son Prahlad, I will disregard all the benedictions he has got, and I will nevertheless kill him. So Narad Muni is telling these stories, and I went on another tangent. Okay, we're coming back to Bhagavatam. So Narad Muni tells, who is Narad Muni telling this story to? Yudhishthira Maharaj. You know the layers of conversation, right? Yes. So Narad Muni says, Hiranyakashipu had how many sons? Anybody know? Hiranyakashipu had how many sons? Huh? Five? Four. And who was the best of the four? Prahlad, obviously. Narad Muni says he was the most cultured, he had excellent character, he had sense control, he had a mood of menial servant, he respected all, he respected his teachers. Most important, Narad Muni says, Prahlad was free from pride and envy. Exactly opposite of his father. And Prahlad's speciality was, in all provocative situations, he would never get angry. And Narad Muni is the guru of Prahlad. That is the best part. See, generally the disciple glorifies the guru. But in Krishna consciousness, when we see a Vaishnava, we don't care whether he is my junior, senior, my disciple, my guru. Wherever we see good, we glorify. So Narad Muni, the spiritual master, is glorifying his disciple. This is the Vaishnava community. And Prahlad is considered materially, the qualities he has may be considered materially useless, but for eternity he will be glorified. Prahlad was influenced by one planet. Devotees say, Prabhuji, mera 7.5 chal raha hai. In India, we have this planet influence. Rahu influences you. Shani is very big influence. So Narad Muni tells Yudhishthira Maharaj, even Prahlad was influenced by a planetary, constellational, some influence was there. And do you know what was the influence he had? Next, I can repeat this verse. We'll end with this and then we can take some questions. Nesta krida nako balo jadavatan manastaya Krishna graha grihitatma Na veda jagadidrisham. Nasta krida nako bala. He was not attached to playing frivolous sports. He was not attached to watching IPL. I don't know, IPL is not famous here. In India, everybody is IPL. Jadavattan Manasya, because he was influenced by a planet. What is that planet called? Krishna Graha, not Rahu Graha, not Shani. So therefore, the most dangerous planet is not Rahu, Ketu, Shani. It's Krishna. For 24 hours, you would remember Krishna. See, we have 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Swaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. For each, there is an example given. For Shravanam, who is the best example? Parishit Maharaj. For Kirtanam, Shukdev Goswami. Like that. For Padasevanam, Lakshmi Ji. For Vandanam, for glorifying, Akrura. And for Smaranam, Prahlad. And in Sadhana Bhakti, all the rules and regulations we are following. The essence of all rules and regulations is what? To always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And the best example for always remembering Krishna is Prahlad Maharaj. So if you remember Prahlad Maharaj, we will remember Krishna. Because he is always remembering Krishna. And therefore the first canto says, if we can somehow connect our memory, our emotions, our remembrance to Krishna, we will be always safe. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat katharatim. So this is like an asina, sword. Just like a sword can cut off a rope. Similarly, remembrance of Krishna will cut off all the knots of material attachment. Therefore, ultimately, whatever we are doing, this Bhagavatam class, deity worship, chanting, everything, we somehow want to remember Krishna. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat. And Prahlad is teaching us that let us always remember Krishna. See, there is a certain kind of, I don't know whether you call it happiness, there's a certain kind of experience we get when we remember Krishna. And that experience makes material world worthwhile. Life in material world worthwhile. So, therefore, this is where we will pause today. And tomorrow, we'll begin with Yudhishthira Maharaj's very thought-provoking question. He says, you are saying, Prahlad, because Narad Muni is only telling good qualities of Prahlad. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is surprised. Such a nice child. I mean, if a child is bad, then okay, you want to kill him or something like that. But he's such a good child. How come his own father wants to kill him? So that answer, Narad Muni will give tomorrow. Same time, same place. But I'll pause here. So yesterday we discussed about the principle of Kushalam, expertise. Expertly living in the material world. Today we discussed the importance of remembering Krishna and understanding how material things cannot give us happiness. And tomorrow we'll conclude the 3-day festival by hearing about Prahlad's devotional qualities and how Lord Narasimha came out of the pillar to protect him. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Narasimha Bhagwan ki jai. Any comments or questions regarding today's class?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. And I think the examples that you give make it so much more relevant to what you're trying to say. And I think it struck me again that when you were talking about Hiranyakashipu trying to give the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to his sister and mother, and so did Ravan do that as well. But we don't quote Ravan or Hiranyakashipu in the same knowledge. And you also mentioned that when somebody sits on the Vyasasana, although they may not have the qualities, but they are aspiring for those qualities. So it puts such a high emphasis on the character and the quality of the person, the Vakta, who's sitting on the Vyasasana. And often we see some departures from that. And in a very broad sense, we expect the speaker to walk their talk. And we often see that doesn't happen. So it does bring up a conflict in the mind. So, for the person who is receiving the knowledge as the audience, it becomes a very conflicting situation that you know that there is something else going on, and this person is sitting here and giving that knowledge. It's a very big conflict. So, how does one, as a hearer or the audience, resolve that conflict? Because we want to hear the Krishna Katha part of it, and we want to blank out all the other things which is going on. So, could you give us a guidance as to how we do that? I know it's a not a straightforward answer, but
it's a very intense question. See, you are seeing some discrepancy. If you have seen somebody betray the values that he is standing for, and is also speaking Bhagavatam, then as a responsible devotee, you should bring this to the attention of those who can make a difference to the situation. I'll repeat. As a responsible devotee, you need to bring this to the attention of those who can make a difference to the situation. Okay, I'm very clear. Criticizing devotees is not an offense. I'll repeat. Criticizing devotees is not an offense if you approach someone who can either make a difference to the situation or who can correct you. We should approach someone who can either change the situation or who can correct you. But if you share it with someone who cannot make a difference to the situation or correct you, then it's Vaishnava Aparadha. It's unnecessarily. But if you keep quiet and you know something is seriously wrong happening, then it's a disservice to the other Vaishnavas. So you should humbly bring it up, Prabhu, and present. But if you're a rank and file devotee and you feel that, okay, I cannot have any say on this, then Srila Prabhupada instructed us very nicely. I remember hearing one class, I think recently Prabhupada Priya Mataji was here. I was hearing I hear manner classes sometime when I'm in Chowpatty. So Prabhupada Priya Mataji was one of her classes I was hearing. And she was giving an amazing example of which Brahmatirtha Prabhu told her apparently. That in one ISKCON temple, the temple president's wife was not a devotee. Now look at this. She started offering Rajbhog. She started offering chicken to the deities. Now, this is a complete deviation. Now the devotees, some devotees came to know. Now devotees have heard this, we should not offend, we should not do this. So they're talking among themselves, but they don't know. Then they kept quiet. And the temple president, somehow they couldn't resolve it. And she was not a devotee, but she loved chicken. And she wanted to eat Rajbhog Mahaprasad and she wanted to eat that. It became horrible. So then what to do? So some devotees wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. Because the leaders couldn't do anything. Because the leaders were under temple president and temple president was under his wife. So the devotee... And what did Srila Prabhupada do? It's amazing. Srila Prabhupada said, wait, I'm coming. He didn't say anything. He just said, I'm coming next week there. He was traveling. So he reached. So when he reached, the leaders, they were wondering, what will Srila Prabhupada do? So Srila Prabhupada came to the temple, all devotees are seated. Srila Prabhupada, first thing he did, he simply appreciated all devotees. Wonderful, what services you are doing? Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So everyone felt so happy. And he made everyone feel special, encouraged everyone, and everybody said, Hari Bol. Everybody was so nourished. And everybody left. And after they left, Srila Prabhupada stopped the leaders, the core leaders, who were like part of the management, whoever, 7, 8 devotees. He made them, they were all seated. And the door was closed. And Srila Prabhupada chastised them left, right, center. And he changed the whole system and complete revamping, everything happened. So what I liked amazing about this pastime is Prabhupada Priya Mataji was giving an amazing purport and insight that she said there are two aspects here. Like Srila Prabhupada said, if you are a simple devotee who's not involved in the management, who doesn't want to get involved, for example, then okay, just continue doing your service. Prabhupada is appreciating you. Have faith and just be a simple devotee. But if you are someone whose eyes and ears are open, you're seeing some discrepancy happening, bring it to the notice and do something about it to rectify the situation. Because we can't allow, Prabhupada won't be happy, Prabhu. And you are saying, you can't hear a class and if that devotee is giving a class and there is a serious discrepancy. If it's a minor, see what happens sometimes, devotees are also slipping, struggling. But there's a difference between struggle and there is a conscious, deliberate cheating. There is a big difference. So if something is happening which shouldn't happen, then we should bring it to the attention of devotees. And then continue doing your service and allow Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj to come, appreciate. Be happy, don't worry about the big picture. Hare Krishna. Anything else regarding today's class? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, you were mentioning something about luxury, how the times we live in now, there's been such a shift in what is considered luxury now and what would have been considered luxury then. Just that stuck to me, and I was wondering if you can comment on that. Like we think now something might be austere, or we're just losing our standards more and more, something like that.
Yeah, I get an example of that fan. Like that, things have changed. Earlier, people, walking was a problem. So people had to walk long distances. So they invented locomotives, cars. Now we have vehicles, airplanes, cars. But now there is so much of air pollution. So now breathing is a problem. So what is the bigger problem, walking or breathing? So air quality index is going down in India. So things are, so the thing is, in material world, a solution that we create to a problem creates a bigger problem than the original problem. Ajnana, lack of knowledge, ignorance creates, avidya creates a bigger problem. See, it's like dark room and you take a sword, and imagine a dark room and 10 people with swords running around waving their swords. What will happen? We'll all get injured. The solution is light. So therefore we need to understand, and we need to understand what is the problem. See, why many of us are not attentive in chanting and hearing? Because we don't know the seriousness of our problem. It's very, very important, serious. Sometimes we chant, we are relaxed, we lower the standards. It's like taking medicines. Somebody takes medicines, one day doesn't take medicines, another day he's relaxed, he's not serious. And then somebody comes and tells him, you have this sickness, but you're not taking medicine. What is the problem? He says, what? Your tests reveal that you have stage 3 cancer. And then what will happen? Then do you think you have to tell him to take medicines? So, when there is awareness, then automatically he'll take medicines, right? But our situation is what, Our situation is like that villager, like that illiterate fellow who doesn't know he has cancer and therefore is not taking medicine. Then somebody comes and tells him you have cancer, and he says, oh, cancer, it must be like common cold. He doesn't even know what is cancer. So he has to be first educated on what is cancer. Then he has to be told he has cancer. Then he will take medicines. Similarly, we are chanting one day, not chanting. And we are told, why? And why we are not chanting seriously? Because we don't know that we are suffering from Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam. We are not aware that we are suffering from the disease of birth, death, old age and disease. Some of us may be aware, but we are like that illiterate farmer who's aware that he has a deadly disease, but he doesn't know what that disease is. I think many of us know we are suffering from birth, death, old age disease, but we don't know what is birth, death, old age disease. So we need to come for Bhagavatam classes repeatedly and hear what exactly it means to go through the cycle of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. And then when we understand the samsara cycle, we will be shaken. Therefore, Bhagavatam class are meant for educating us on not the solutions, but sometimes devotees come to classes thinking that, Prabhu, I want solutions for my problems. Sorry, Bhagavatam class is not for giving you solutions to your problems. Bhagavatam classes are meant to make you realize what is your problem. You can ask ChatGPT solutions for problems. How to overcome. ChatGPT will give you answers for everything. How to improve chanting. ChatGPT will tell you. But you ask ChatGPT, what is my problem? That ChatGPT doesn't know. So what is your problem? For that you come here. Come for a Bhagavatam class. Bhagavatam class will tell you what is the disease you have and what is the nature of that disease. Is that okay? So tomorrow, please come. We will complete the 7th canto we'll read about Hiranyakashipu's persecution of Prahlad and Lord Narasimha protecting Prahlad Maharaj. Narasimha Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.